Two.
Hello everyone, Michael E. Parker here for another episode here on You Are a CEO. Now, have you ever thought about how none of us came into this world with any information about how to manage money? There are so many things you need to know. There are so many things you need to understand. And yet, this is the one thing that we weren't taught in school. We were not educated by anyone, and you are on your own to figure it all out. It just doesn't seem right. And this is why we're talking today about having a coach to actually coach us to wealth. And we're talking about Money CEO as that tool. Now, we've been doing a special series here on Money CEO, and I want to show you how this breakthrough solution is helping so many people to manage their money in a way that it really automatically helps you follow certain rules so that you can have a very, very strong financial position and also start and create a pathway towards wealth. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. When you think about everything we learn all throughout our grade school, even in college, there is nowhere to go to really get the proper understanding that is in the minds of the wealthy and those that are in those particular areas and in those families and in those groups that kind of grew up with some of this knowledge circling their minds and circling their dining room tables and circling their family discussions. Not everyone got that. And so a lot of times we're left trying to figure it out. We're looking up things on YouTube. We're going to our accountant. We're going to our CPA. We're talking to people who we think have done well. But one of the things I wanted to create through this solution is something that finally took all of those lessons and knowledge that you need to understand and put it in one place. Having been an entrepreneur that started several multi-million-dollar companies and having the ability to be involved in some of those companies being in real estate and loans and watching what has to take place for loans to be underwritten, being involved with people and taking different situations where investment is involved and seeing all the things you have to know, and then understanding all the nuances of taxes, all the things that people, really want you to watch out for. And if you don't, you can end up really getting in some trouble. So this was the beginning of getting someone financially stable by putting all of that coaching thinking into a tool. And imagine being able to have something that thinks about those things for you so you don't have to, and you can focus more on making decisions and not trying to remember all the rules. All right, so let's go back into Money CEO. I have my laptop here, and we're deep into it now, and we are now on the coaching tab. So you see that up here. We were on the plan tab, and we walked through several things with the plan area. If you missed that episode, make sure you go back and take a look at that. We talked about managing money. Now we're going to go over to the coaching tab. Now, this coaching tab is just extremely important, and I'm going to go to March because it's our first full month. And here in March, I want you to see in Money CEO, you actually get a full summary of where your money went. So, what I love about Money CEO, and what I really wanted to make sure that Money CEO had, was that it was extremely visual. Money sometimes is boring. Accounting can be boring. Looking at numbers can be boring. So what do we want to do? We want to make it fun. We want to make it visual. We want to make it colorful. We want to make it easy to follow. So one of the things you can see here, all of your key expenses, they're all laid out, and you can see what percentage of your money went to each of these expenses. So this is very easy to follow. You can see it's color-coded, and it matches what you see over here. This is all, you can click into these and see exactly what that, transaction was. So that's very convenient. So think about it. You're able to, just write on the document, or I should say on the screen, you can just click and see what that item was. So very, very user-friendly, very, very easy to use. So this is a great way to see where's my money been going, right? Where's my spending actually been going? Now, we're going to go to a very special area, and this area is unlike anything. You won't see this in any other solution except Money CEO. Here we actually define what we call need versus want expenses. And we're going to go to March again because it was a full month. Now look at this. Here's the total income that came in March. But what Money CEO is doing is keeping you conscious of what percentage of that money was a need expense versus a want expense. And the rest of it, we just attribute to savings because you didn't spend it. Now, I know this seemed like something simple, but this is so important. we have to know when we get our money coming into our life, how much of it is going to things that we need and things that we want. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, money cell is smart, but how could it be that smart? Well, how could we know what's a need expense versus a want expense? How could it even know that? Well, the secret to Money CO, and I really want you to understand this for those of you using Money CO or who will be using Money CO, the secret to Money CO and its smart ability to help and to coach is in the categories, okay? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back for a minute. We're gonna go back to the home area and we're gonna look at, let's go to some of our bank accounts, go to our checking account here. And I want you to notice some things here. If I click on one of these items, and let's look at some of the categories that are available. So I want you to understand, some things we know it's a want and not a need. Some things we know is a need and not a want. But there are some things that could be a need or a want. And so what we did in Money CEO, and this is very important because a lot of people miss this with Money CEO, is we actually have some categories that are double categories. So you can say, is this a need expense in this category or a want? Let me show you what I mean. So let me show you this. So animals and pets, you know, that's more of a want. Some of you might say it's a need, but you know, how needs is really like, if I don't have this, I can't function type of thing. You know, auto payment is definitely a need. You know, we need transportation. Auto services, so I could be getting my windows tinted, which is a want, and I could be getting some repair work on my car, which is a need. So you can see we have a want and a need here, allowing you to tell Money CEO if it's a need or a want. And you want to be honest because you want to know where your money's going. At the end of the day, you want to know and understand what's going on. The same thing with your business expense. So you can see, you know, all of these different areas are defined, predefined as need and want. Let me show you some others. So entertainment, of course, would be a want. Family care would be a need. Gross food and grocery would be a need. Gas would be a need. So look at some of the other ones. So like, look at legal. So you could have something legal that's a need and something that's a want. Maybe something you have to take care of, you know, for your well-being, you know, where your family protection is concerned. And it's something you're doing, you know, to, you know, set up a business or something, right? So all personal shopping. I can be personal shopping for something that I need, and that's up to you to define that. You know, most of the time I would say it's a want. But because of those different needs, you know, we went and put that in there. Same thing with professional services, right? Whereas rent, we know that's a need. Taxes, that's a need. You need to pay your taxes, right? So all of this, the way you select and categorize things, Money CEO is actually putting it in a need versus one category, okay? So this is how, we're gonna go back here. Let's go back to our coaching area under the needs. This is how Money CEO is making this determination. It's looking at how you're categorizing things, right? So this is just a great way to understand what's going on. And I can even click on the need and see what those needs were, right? So this is very easy to follow. And look, you could say, no, I want to switch this to a want. So you can switch it if you want. So this is all, you know, up to you. You can do the same thing with your want, and you can switch those to a need. You can say, well, Money CEO said it was this, but I want to categorize it as a need. So you can switch that. So this is all up to you. You can make it your own. So this is, again, but the key is now we're conscious that all spent money is not the same, right? Some spent money is a need and some spent money is a want. And if you don't understand the difference between these, and again, I really want to admonish you, if you don't know all the principles and concepts behind Money CEO, to go to moneystopmanagingme.com eventually and see the free webinar where I go fully in detail into the principles of money management. And I talk about your specific money management mix between your needs, your wants, and your savings. And you need to know what that is. All right. So I want you to notice you can also do this by a specific account, right? So we can do this by our checking account and it'll adjust a little bit. If I'm just looking at that one account, you can see it change slightly, right? So you can also do that account by account. And that's also really cool because there's so many things you could be looking at and assessing how you're doing things in a specific bank account. All right, it's time to go to the big tab, the tab that says coaching, all right? So, and I want you to notice there is a tutorial up here, give you some all throughout Money CEO Always make sure you check your tutorials. If you want to remember these things, here's a good place to go, showing you how to use every part of the system. Now let's go to coaching. April needs to, she needs to really work on a few things, right? So you can see here, at the top, we have your overall condition. So she needs major improvement, okay? So there's several reasons that this could happen. Now, I want you to keep in mind, we have many different rankings, right? So there's 3 areas in needs improvement. So you notice that little kind of dial that is moving. It's at the lowest point. And so there's 2 other notches in here that you can't see that it will move. Then when you get to this last one, it'll say you're almost fair, right? Then you'll get to fair. Then you get to like very fair. Then you get to almost good. Then you get to good. Then you get to very good. Then you get to almost excellent. Then you get to excellent. Then you get to, I think it's most excellent. And then it's outstanding. So these are some ratings you want to definitely see. So all throughout Money CEO, every month, it sends you a report. And you're able to see, your report comes out once a month, and you're able to see where your rankings are. Now let's go deeper. So we can go even deeper down below. So this is a summary up here. And I also want to show you, we have some bigger summaries like what's your overall cash health, right? So she needs improvement in all these areas, spending discipline, as well as your payment health, like how you've been paying things. And she really needs improvement. I got to talk to April and get her in a better place here. But you can see all 3 of these summary areas are here. But at the bottom, you can get to the detailed areas. So essential spending, all right? So there are these categories, and there's some specific things that the Money CEO is trying to coach you to. So automatically, you can learn exactly what this coaching is about, living within your means, right? And then making sure you don't use more than half of your normal monthly income. And then you actually get a statement from Money CEO talking to you as a coach, telling you what you're doing well and what you need to do to go to the next level. Now, before I go deeper into this, let me explain some of the principles behind the coaching so you'll really appreciate what's going on here. So I'm going to go over to a presentation that I often give, and I want to show you. So I'm going to show you some of the principles, and we're going to come back to the solution because it'll be easier for you to appreciate what is actually going on here. So we have an individual here, and one of the principles in Money CEO is we want you to build a fortress around your life from a financial perspective. So 1 month of saving, 2 months of saving, 3 months, we want to see you continue to grow your savings, right? So that you have at least 8 months of protection, because if something happened to you and you could not work, right? Money CEO is considering that. Now, we know not everyone will be able to do this and have 8 months of savings worth of what they normally spend every month, but you should be striving for it. So Money CEO keeps that principle in front of you so that you can really begin to build your own economic fortress. So 8 months of living expenses will really cause you to be protected. So we want to get to that point where not only a lot of us, we're just thinking about, covering our bills. But we have to get to the point where we're trying to cover our bills. And as you start progressing in your career or in your business, you start to grow. Before you go and splurge and spend all your money, you start thinking about, I'm trying to build up enough savings for if something happened, if something went wrong, or if I got sick, or if I had to do something I didn't, anticipate. It happens all the time. One doctor's visit can change your life, right? So we have to always be prepared. Now, if you're investing, you can always make adjustments. So sometimes, I like to say, at worst case, maybe about 3 months if you're making some investment moves. If you're making some investment moves, I kind of give a little asterisk there where people can kind of back off of the 8 months a little bit because they're trying to go do something that's going to bring in more money. So, if you're making a real estate purchase, you're doing something of really good investment that has a very good, return, is something that's going to add value, you can be a little bit more flexible there. But as a rule, Money CEO is trying to get you to that point. So this is just an example of some of the rules. Let's go deeper into the rules. So 7 money rules for the credit score game. Yes, I called it a credit score game. Now, it is a game. Did you know, as much as you like, certain things about yourself, you know your name, You know the different things about you in your profile, where you went to school, where you live and all that. But unfortunately, you and I are just a number in, most countries, especially in America. That number is our credit score. That credit score is what we've been deemed to be financially responsible or not, financial risk or not. So we have to be conscious of all these things that is being evaluated to make sure that we can actually be in a position to do things when we want to do it. And of course, you want to always be in a position where you can use someone else's money to make money, right? And credit score is one of the ways you will be able to do that. So it is important. So a lot of the rules in Money CEO consider things that a lender would consider. It considers things that is just good financial responsibility, and it considers things that will protect you from things that may come up in life. So let's talk about some of these rules. One rule is, we just talked about it, save up to last for 8 months, right? Enough cash to last for 8 months. If an emergency arose in which they suddenly had no income, you would need to be able to respond to that. So when you're getting your ratings, it's rating you on how close you're getting to that goal. So it's really good to have something that's keeping you conscious. Here's another rule. Keep enough cash in your household account that you pay your bills out of to cover your essential spending for 1 month at all times. This means if it costs me $5,000 to cover my personal expenses, Money CEO is trying to get you to the point where you have, after you pay your bills, you have $5,000 still sitting in there, right? So that really means if I do what Money CEO wants me to do, I really got 9 months of money, right? 8 months in savings and an extra month in my household account. This is in case something happens, you spend a little bit more in a month, you're never in a condition where you can't pay your bills. You always are a step ahead. Now, again, Money CEO is giving you the best of the best where we want you to be, but that's why we have all those ratings. You can be fair and good and still be in a really good place. But at the excellent and the outstanding level, that's what this is. This is the highest level, outstanding in Money CEO, right? But there's many levels below this that leave room for life and things that we deal with. But I want you to see what Money CEO is trying to take you to. Here's another one. Hold on to your savings. So if something is savings and it's in a savings account, really treat it like savings. Don't be touching it all the time, right? So what is Money CEO saying? Keep at least 95% of the money in your savings account each month. So Money CEO looks and says, did you touch your savings account last month? And if what was in there is still in there, or even more is in there, you're going to get excellent. If you got something less is in there, it's going to start evaluating, well, how much less? And you're going to start getting different ratings. So this is, again, what Money CEO is evaluating. Here's another key thing. Use credit responsibly. Ensure you don't carry a balance forward each month. So it is driving you to not carry a balance. It wants you to get to the point where you don't have a balance and you are paying off your bills. You can use credit, but not let it use you, because you're using the credit and you're paying it off every month. So there's nothing, you're not carrying debt. Now, there's some room to still get some good ratings. This is the excellent, this is the outstanding. But again, once you go over 30%, you start getting dinged on your credit and things like that. So you're probably going to see that more around in that good area as you're keeping it at least, 30% or below. But the ultimate goal is to not carry a balance at all. All right. Here's another key thing. Income going to debt. Ensure that, this kind of goes with it, ensure that no more than 30% or less of your income is going to debt. So this is looking at your income to debt ratio. These are things that lenders look at. How much of your income is going towards debt? Like a mortgage or a car loan, right? All these different things, it's automatically evaluating this for you, right? You don't have to think about all these rules. It's already looking at this, and it's helping you see where you're at. Here's another one. Living within your means. Spend no more than half or 50% of your normal monthly income on needs. In other words, Money CEO is trying to get you to a point where what it takes for you to live, like just survive, eating, transportation, the main things, shelter, that's not more than 50% of the money you bring in. Now, again, for some of us, we almost need all of our money to make sure we cover everything, and that's fine. But Money CEO is trying to get you to that point because, again, it's leading you toward a state of being financially solid and positioned to grow and create wealth. So this is what you call all the 7 money rules, the last one being to pay your bills on time or early 100% of the time. So to get excellent, you got to pay your bills on time or early, right, in a month. If if you miss one or you're late on one, your rating starts to fall. So these are the rules, right? So keep this in mind. Now let's go back to Money CEO here. And now that you have that background, you can see I'm looking at these same things we talked about. And here's essential spending. They're doing good. And you can see there's a little write-up, some coaching there. Credit spending, they need to improve. They're kind of in the second area. They need to kind of, keep moving over, right? Because they're spending too much using their credit. Household cushion is doing excellent, right? They're in the outstanding level because they've got a good amount of money in their household account, right? So this is an example of getting an outstanding here. Emergency cash though. So they got a lot of money in their household account, but they don't got no money in their savings. So they need a major improvement in building up that, savings of money to really be able to be protected, to build that fortress that we talked about. Then money kept. They're touching their money all the time in their savings, right? It's not in there enough. Income needed for debt. So they're doing good in this area in terms of how much of their income is going to debt. So you can see, you're getting live coaching every month telling you exactly where you are and exactly what you need to do to get to the next level, right? So you can see here, this is actually telling, what can we say? You have left average behind and destroyed any signs of mediocrity. You spent 62, 42, 12 every month paying down debt, which is 49% of your monthly income. So you can see it's giving you the details, even telling you reduce your monthly debt by 56, 25, 31 to move up to very good. It's telling you exactly what you need to do. This is what we're talking about with the coaching that is built in. And you notice another tutorial here to kind of help you. So this is all built-in coaching in Money CEO. Now we're going to go over to the Wealth tab. So we talked about the name of this whole, episode today is Coaching You to Wealth. So how are we coaching wealth? Because when you follow those things with the coaching, you start being positioned to start moving into things that help you start to create wealth and start to understand wealth. So one of the things we want to understand when we think about wealth is net worth. Now, sometimes we don't even think about net worth. Many of us don't even know what that is, unfortunately. If you are an individual that has a business, you probably do know about that. You're dealing with, things with your taxes and balance sheets and profit and loss statements. But this is a very important aspect of money management because we're understanding the value of our assets as well as the amount of liabilities we have in terms of things that money we owe or money we have to pay someone for. And we see what's left over. Net worth is what we want to grow. That is truly how wealthy you are, you could say in a sense, because if you had to pay off all your debt and you had nothing left over, then you really don't have anything, right? So this is another thing just to keep your eye on. It's not the only thing to look at, but it is something when you're thinking with a wealth mindset that you want to be aware of. So here you can check this out. All your bank account money will automatically come over here, any investments you have. Here, there's some real estate. There's some autos that April owns that's worth $60,000, so she owns. But you can see over here, there's some credit cards, so your credit cards will automatically come over here in Money CEO. Any mortgages, personal loans, and other debts. You can add things. So let's just say April... let's say April got a home, let's see, family home was gifted to her, and it is worth $725,000. That's a nice gift, isn't it? So look at her net worth, how it jumped, right? So, and this is your jewelry, anything you own that has value. You want to capture this here, right? We could also add a liability. So let's just say that there's a personal loan out there and you owe someone $150,000. You borrow some money so you can make some investments or something, and you need to pay that back. That's a liability. You can see the net worth dropped. So this is, again, a very important thing. And when you put all the things you own in here and all the things that you owe, you always want to be conscious of what this number looks like. What is, that net worth? A lot of times when you see Forbes magazine or they're measuring the wealthy, they use net worth a lot. How much net worth does someone has as an indicator. So I'm showing you, Money CEO is teaching you the thought process of, the wealthy, thinking about net worth. Let's see what other cool things we have here. Now check this out. Another thing that Money CEO is doing is looking at cash flow. Now here we're in the month of April. Let's go to March, our first kind of full month there. And look at this. We actually are able to see. Now cash flow is extremely important because cash flow at the end of the day, if I make an investment, I want that investment to cash flow. If I buy a property, right, and I spend a certain amount of money for that property, let's say I bought some real estate. I buy some real estate and the expenses on that property is $2,000 a month. And then I put some tenants in that property and I'm able to make $4,000 a month. I have a $2,000 a month cash flow on that property, right? But also, you want to look at yourself as a business and as an asset. When you look at all of your money that comes into your life and all the money that goes out of your life every month, do you have a cash flow? Have you built something personally that is bringing you money as cash flow every month? So whatever it is you're doing, you're working, you're doing all the things you do to live life, whatever you do to exercise, whatever you're doing to eat, whatever you're doing to live, whatever you're doing to drive, your life and the way it moves, is there a cash flow? Is cash flowing, right? So this helps us to think that way and think about it. Here, I'm able to see the income that's coming, the expense. I can see a cool visual of that same, cash flow. I can even switch this to see on average what's been going on over the last 3 months and see this as an average, right? Which is nice. All right, I'm gonna put this back to month. Let's go back to March. Now, check this out. Another thing, again, we're learning to think like the wealthy. You say, I don't even know about all this stuff. That's the point. When you're in Money CEO, it's going to teach you. All you got to do is click the tab and you're going to start seeing yourself through those eyes because it's already been built in, right? Those eyes are already here. So I want you to see, there's a difference between normal income and passive income. The wealthy try to create as much passive income as they can. What is passive income? Passive income is income that you keep making without additional effort. I'll give you an example. If you are an affiliate for You Are a CEO and you are able to get some people to sign up to You Are a CEO to one of our memberships, and you get to the point where you're making an extra $2,000 a month, as those people pay their subscriptions, you get a percentage, and you get that every month. That is $2,000 a month in passive income, right? If you buy a property and that property, as we talked about earlier, is generating cash flow every month, that is passive income. You don't have to keep going doing something with the property. You're done. Same thing if you get a stock and that stock is generating money. It could be passive income to you. So you want to create as many opportunities. If you are an entrepreneur and you create a training online and people are signing up every month to buy that training, you're making a certain amount of money every month from your training online. That is passive income. You're not doing additional, you made the training once and now that same training is bringing in money every month, right? And this is how we think. Right? When we think about survival, we think about, traditional thinking is, I work, and then I get paid. Then I work, then I get paid, right? Normally like twice a month. When you think like the wealthy, right? You want to work, get paid, right? Work, get paid. Because you're doing things that generate passive income and continually bring money to your life. So here, she has normal income and not any passive income. But let me show you. So we're going to go and we'll come back to that, okay? So here's where we're tracking that. We're going to come back to that. I want to show you also, you're able to look at your need expenses and you're able to see them sorted by what you spend the most on. So my mortgage and my credit cards, or let's say April's mortgage and credit cards, is the highest thing that she's spending on. You got this cool, nice graph over here just showing you how your expenses are laid out. Remember, we learned about need expenses, so you know we got some want expenses down here. So personal shopping for want, dining and restaurant is where the largest percentage of April's want expenses are actually being spent. So this is all here on this cash flow tab. And so this is just, a wonderful, wonderful tool to be able to understand more about what's going on, right, with your cash flow, how money is coming in, how much money is going out. Now, here's another tab called passive. So when we think about passive, so here's something to keep in mind. So this is showing the different income that was made. How much of that income was normal? How much was passive? You can see 0 was passive, and here was the expenses. So this is a nice tool to be able to see how much of my income is actually passive or just normal income. And if I don't have any passive income, it keeps me conscious that, hey, I need to get that thing off 0. I need to go and create some opportunity that keeps bringing me money. I don't care if it's $50 a month. How can I create some passive income so I can think like the wealthy, right? And here's my expenses. We're looking at your passive to expense ratio. In other words, how much of your expenses is being covered by passive income? Why is that important? Because if you can get to the point where all of your expenses is covered by passive income, you don't need to work anymore. Let me say that one more time. If you get to the point where all of your expenses is covered by passive income, you don't need to work anymore, because whatever you did already is covering what it takes for you to live. It's covering your expenses. So now, let's go back here to April, and for a lot of people, hers is at 0%, right? So there's 0% of her passive income is covering her expenses. But at least to know, I need to be striving for that. This is what I need to be working on. This thinking, it's teaching you that thinking so you can start working towards that. Something can change in your life. Next thing you know, you got 25% of your expenses being covered by passive income, and it begins to grow. Now, I want you to see here, see where it says select passive income? If I click on this, it'll bring up all the income that I have coming in. Now, we're just gonna, for fun, let's say that this here is passive income. This particular money that's coming in, we're gonna apply it to all the transactions, save that. Now, if we go back, you can see it's showing, let me go to March here. Now you can see, a big portion of her money's coming from passive income now, because I said that, all her money was passive basically, and only 68 cents is coming from normal income, right? So you can see, but I want you just to see that's where you would go to tell Money CEO what income is passive or not, right? And this is also, if we go back to the cash flow area, so if I make those changes and I have passive income, I would see that passive income change here, and I would see passive income showing up here, and the normal income would be different. So that's where you go to actually do that. Again, in the wealth area, under passive, and you click here, select passive income, and you just tell Money CEO which one of these incomes is coming from a passive source. And you can tell them if it's one time or if it happens all the time, right? And you can make that change here. So now, something we talked about with all the wealth and all the coaching, I hope you see how much is here. So one of the things I want you to keep in mind, one of the things to really make sure that all of your information is accurate, let's go back to the home area for a minute. And I want to go back to our banking, or even this could for your banking or your credit cards. I want you to notice something. Let me pick something like credit card number 4 here. You can see this is Capital One Quicksilver. So one of the things that you always want to make sure of is that your categories are accurate, because if you can see why it's important that you categorize things right. Because if you got something categorized wrong, Money CO is going to think it's a need versus a want. It's going to apply it to debt, and it should have been something else. So categories are very important to know where your categories are. So something that we did to help with that, because what Money CO is smart, and as it pulls the information, not the money. So keep in mind, if you're new here to these episodes, Money CO does not take any of your money from your bank accounts. You cannot pay nothing through Money CO. You cannot withdraw funds. You cannot transfer funds. It is only you are giving Money CO the right to just show your information inside of Money CO, and you can play with it in Money CO, but there is no real physical money in here, nothing that impacts your real bank at all. It is just inside of Money CO. None of us can see your account. Your account is private. It is yours. So make sure when you use this, you know it is for you and to help you. So categories being so important, I want you to notice here, so adding a keyword. So let's say I want to make sure that Money CO always categorizes this right. So this particular vendor is called Capital One Quicksilver. I have nothing else in my transactions that says Quicksilver, for example. So I'm going to put a keyword, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to add, go back here. I'm going to put a keyword here, Quicksilver, and I'm going to submit this and say that is always going to be a credit card payment. And now that keyword is saved, and anytime a transaction comes over and it has Quicksilver in it, it's going to say, I know that's credit card payment. Just in case, because sometimes your bank puts little funny numbers or it does something weird on your transaction. When it comes over, Money CO says, oh, I thought that was credit card, but that looks like it's a groceries, right? And it gets it wrong. Now, it doesn't happen often, but if it does, and you see you're having a problem with that, we built in this feature so you can say, you know what, I'm going to tell Money CO this is exactly what this always is. This is always credit card when you see Quicksilver, right? So this is a wonderful, wonderful tool that you can use. Now, another thing I want you to keep in mind while I'm here, every time that we have our transaction, so let's go back, let's get a different transaction. Let's look at something on here. Let's take this restaurant, okay? Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. I want you to notice here that I can identify something as a tax write-off, and I can also identify that I want to keep a receipt for this. So I'm going to show you this because this is in the Wealth tab. We talked about this earlier, but I just want to show you this again, make sure you really have this. So look at this. I can now click that I want this to be a write-off, and I want to apply it to all transactions that look like this, a restaurant, Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. I want to add a receipt as well. So yes, I want to do that. So now when I go over to the Wealth tab, you notice this last tab here for tax. And if I click on tax, this is to track all of my write-offs. Now, this is what's so beautiful about this. So, you know, at the end of the year, you're trying to remember, oh my God, it's time to get prepared for taxes. I don't remember what are the spending that I did that was, you know, something I can try to get a write-off on, or what did I do if I'm a business, if I have a 1099, if I'm a W-2, I'm trying to remember what I can get a write-off on and all of this. So what I've done in Money CO is allowed you to identify a transaction as a write-off. And you can, let's say you spent something one time, you went to a business event, you want to write off the plane trip and the hotel expense. You can just say, I want to write this off just this one time, right? This one transaction. Or if it's something that's a reoccurring expense, say there's a service that you bought, but it's for a business reason. It's the same thing. It's $300 a month. You can say, Money CO, every time you see this, it's a tax write-off. So you never have to worry about it again. Just set it and forget it. And at the end of the year, you come here, right, on Money CO, and you can see this is how much money in tax write-offs that Money CO has actually tracked for you. So now you can see all those transactions below that is making up these write-offs, okay? You can also see which one of these write-offs are like recurring, like all the time, right? So if something's recurring like this dining and restaurant, I can say that. Or if it's something that's just one time, I'll see on this page the things that are recurring and that are just one time. I can search for a transaction, right? We don't have many here, but if I wanted to, I could search for something that I was looking for, and I can send an email to myself of all this report of all my write-offs. Now, this is just a simple demo account, so all the things in here are gonna look a little, not like normal, but if you had your real account, it'd be full of information and so much to look at. But think about it. You can send an email to yourself, and you go to your tax preparer with this little summary and say, look, this is what I know is going on with my money. And again, it's just a little help to make sure you keep things intact as you work with whomever is doing your taxes, right? So very, very helpful, right? Now, look at this area called receipt. Remember, when we identified that there was a receipt, so there it is. This is the one that we wanted to save a receipt. And I can actually click on this and say that I want to add a receipt image. I'm gonna go, and I put a little image here we can use, receipt example. Let's open that up. And here we go. I have a receipt image here, and I can click and open that and see that I have a copy of exactly what took place. So remember, sometimes you're like, I gotta make sure I remember to keep my receipts and all that. You can even put your receipt images in here and keep track of what took place with the proof that it took place. So, it has everything in there that you need to really make sure you're prepared for your taxes. All right. So I hope you can see within these tabs, right? Home, we went over bills, we went over plan, we went over coaching, we went over wealth, and the only other tab that you have here is learn, and I just want you to know that we are filling Money CEO all the time with tutorials. So there's tutorials all throughout, but any one of these you can click on and you can get a walkthrough on how to do stuff in Money CEO. And there I am smiling and talking there. I'm using the app in this example. Sometime you might see the website, but think about it. You got a whole area over here that you can use to learn whatever you need to learn in case you get stuck. So we wanted to build that in so you have everything you need. Now, just a few things. Notice here that you get notifications as things are happening. Here I can see I got a bill that's coming up due. I see my weekly review is ready. I see my coaching report from March is ready, right? It's letting you know when things are ready. So, and then I'm gonna go to the last area that makes this a system. So these notifications are very important, and we talked about this in the settings area. So you can change your password. We got security features in here. Do you want to unlock your app with your PIN or with the verification code? You can choose, how you want to do that. You can change your password. If you want to remove the account, any accounts that you added, any banks, you can say, I want to remove this particular account. So you can do that back here. You can see any keywords that you've set up, right, that we talked about earlier. You can edit your profile if you want to edit your name or any information there. And then we have our notification settings. Now, we went through this before, but all the things you want to be notified about is here, and you can begin to determine what you want to be notified about or not. Now, about Money CEO, you can, a lot of times, that will lead you to just a general app overview about what Money CEO can do. Now, the last thing I want to show you, and I'm just so excited. I'm feeling a little bit saddened because, we spent so much time going into this breakthrough solution. I've been so excited just walking through all of this, and there's so many things that we went into. And I hope, listen, if you have Money CEO and you're not using this, you're really missing out. Like, if you're not using this to simplify your life, if you're not using this to make money management easier, shame on you, right? And if you're out there and you don't have Money CEO, you need Money CEO. And I want to invite you to become a member of UR CEO, where you get access to Money CEO and so much more. This solution is only available for people who are a part of the URCO community. So you have to at least be an executive member, and you will be able to access this. And so we have things in the description where you can go and find out more about Money CEO. There's a free webinar, as I mentioned, at moneystopmanagingme.com. And you can also go to one of our, we'll put a link in the description where you can go to some of our package pages. You can see what it takes to sign up if you want to get access to this solution. Now, let me tell you about the best part about this whole thing. So there's a lot in here in Money CEO. And so you say, I don't have time to get to all that stuff. It's so much in there. But when you need it, you like to know it's there. So what we did, we created a system so that you can just put Money CEO on autopilot, and Money CEO will come to you when you need it, and you'll make sure you're managing your money at the optimal level. So how can we do that? Well, you could just take about, 10 minutes or so a week, maybe 30 minutes a month, and manage your money to the highest level and always be moving toward the goals that I showed you Money CEO is trying to take you towards. Right? All you got to do is just follow what Money CEO is telling you, and it's going to lead you to where you need to be. Let's go back here to this last area, and that is these reviews that you see below. Now that you understand more about Money CEO, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but now that you understand more about Money CEO, you're going to see why this is so important. Every week, you get a weekly review. Now, this is not going to populate because we have a demo account, so it's not going to show everything. But this would normally show your bank account balances, your credit card situation, any investment accounts you have. You would mark that you completed it. I've already completed this, so it's check marked, right? Then it's going to show all the things you spent money on this week. Now, this is just this week, so it's not a lot of transactions, right? And here's where, you remember I said that your categorization is what feeds your coaching. So you want to make sure it's right. And so we want to make sure that you get it right. We stop you every week and say, hey, April, check these are the things you spent money on. Do these categories look right? So you can see here, all of these, right? I can see those categories. And here are some that maybe I need to add some, right? So, and this is a demo account, so things will always look a little different, look a little, different than normal. Cable, let's say I wanted to change that to entertainment or something, right? So I changed that. And now this is going to help make sure my coaching is all accurate later. I then come down and see any bills that are coming up this week. So I get this report. I'm looking at this beginning of the week, and it letting me know, look, you got a big $5,200 and something expense coming in. This is the week the mortgage hits, right? Get ready. And I can determine if I pay that on time or not. And this feeds all the coaching, right? Then I can see what's coming up next week. That's very important. It's making me think about what's coming next. A lot of times we just live in the moment. But it's saying, hey, don't forget, next week, you got some bills coming up. Because you've put everything in Money CEO, you can forget about it. It tells you, remember, you got these bills coming up next week. So you literally can just wait for your weekly review if you wanted to. What I do is use my app just to, check my balances, see what's going on. I get my notifications, let me know when spending is hitting the account so I can keep track of what's going on. My weekly review is when I stop and just say, I'm going to take 10 minutes or so. Now, look, it didn't take me that long to walk through this, right? All I do is check off these little green circles, right? I check them off, say it's completed, and once it's done, I'm done. And it says 100% completed, I'm done. That's money management, right? I just did money management. I managed my money, and I stayed on top of everything, and I looked at all the things that mattered. Now, every month, so after the month is over, then that next week comes. After you're fully out of that month, that next week, you're going to get a monthly review. Now, this monthly review is a little bit different. Let's click into this one. And again, you're not going to see a lot because this is a demo account. Our system is so sophisticated. It works more, you need the real information inside with a real account for some of the features to show properly. So this is cool because it's going to make me look at my planned money in versus my actual money in for this month. The same thing with all my expenses. You're going to see them listed here, and you'll be able to see, did I stay within my plans? And what things were what things were not in plan properly this particular month? I'll also be able to see the calendar of where I paid bills all this month, right? And I can even click into these to remember, okay, that's what happened on the 10th. So I just got a nice little summary. I can see how much money I kept. A lot of money came in, a lot of money went out. How much did I keep though, right? So I get a summary of that. How much money was spent on credit? This also reminds me to go look now in the month. We do a little bit more than a week. It's telling me now, look, you need to go look at your spending analysis, your need versus want, and your coaching. So when I click on this, it takes me over there. And all I got to do is check out what's going on with that particular area. Now I'm going to go back to monthly review, right? And now I'm going to go check on my needs versus wants. It takes me right there, right? So you can see that. You get the point. Now I'm going over to coaching. It's making sure I go at least look at it. So All Money CEO is saying, you got to click this button because I want to know you went to go look at this and understand your situation, right? The same thing. It makes you go over to the wealth areas. And I won't click through all of those, but you get the point and you click through. And as you click, you get a check mark. And that check mark now says you're complete. And then lastly, you can make an action plan. I think I did something before, but let's do one more for fun. My action plan here, I need to, let's see, become you are a CEO affiliate to start. Oh yeah, let's leave it there. That's our title, become a You Are a CEO affiliate. In the notes, I need to make some passive income now. I must go and join what we call the A Club and start earning enough passive income to at least cover my car note. So I made a note here, I saved this, and I can always come back and look at my action plan, the things that I've decided to do, right? For this particular month, the things that hit my mind, right? And so you can see up here, this is for March, right? If I go to February, this was a different month, of course, there's no notes. But if I go back and I'm looking at things, I go to March, once I get this set up, I can see the notes that were for March. So you can see, as you start doing this, you can go back and look at different months and say, what is that I was trying to do? I think I said it was something I was supposed to do. And you can go back and remember what you did in different months, what actions you took. It just helps you start thinking about after you review this. So this is the one that I recommend taking about 30 minutes a month to go through this, go to all your areas, look at everything, make some notes in your action plan. That's it, right? After that, just focus on doing what you said you were going to do. Take the action, get off of here and go into the real world and make it happen. So think about it. All of that detail that's being managed for you in just 30 minutes a month, not a day, about 10 minutes a week, I'm on top of my money management portfolio to the highest level. And I am positioning myself for whatever I want to do in the future to grow my wealth and to make sure I'm able to play the money game so that I can borrow other people's money to make money with it so that then I'm just compounding my money over and over and over again. Now, if you have not liked, subscribed, and commented and shared, make sure that you do. We'll put that on the screen for you. I want y'all to remember, I want you to subscribe and like and comment and share this episode because more people need to know about this breakthrough solution money CEO because this is something that is going to make anyone's money management more simple, more streamlined, more fun, more visual, and more complete. Because now you have a very holistic view of not only how we were taught to think, but learning the things that we need to think so that we can truly create wealth and begin to take the stress out of managing money. I'm Michael E. Parker. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until we meet again, keep being the CEO of your life, the CEO of your money, and make sure you do everything you can to make sure you manage money and don't let it manage you. I'll see you soon.